boys and girls. Cell phones off, microphones on. Okay, I will call the meeting to order. This is the April 25th, 2023 meeting of the Genoa Township Board of Zoning Appeals. We are at the Genoa Township Hall at 5111 South Old 3C Highway in Westerville, Ohio, 43082. We have actually three agenda items tonight. Two are applications, BZA case 2023-04, which is a variance for 7720 Maxtown Road, and then BZA case 2023-05, which is a variance for 5719 Torrey Pines Avenue, and then we have election of officers. We have staff present tonight, Susan Dorch, our Deputy Zoning Inspector, and Paul Benson, also Deputy Zoning Inspector. And I would like to welcome our new members, Bob DeRose, who is actually an alternate and sitting in tonight, Jared Christian, who is also in attendance tonight. And I also want to note that Paul Hansen, who has been an alternate, I think he's been an alternate 3 years, am I correct? I know it's been a little while, was appointed by the trustees as full member, and his term expires 3/31 of 28. And I want to thank Mike Carlson for being an alternate for 1 year, and he also participated in the last meeting. And I also want to thank my friend Dorothy Driscoll, who Teresa and I actually served on the Parks Advisory Board for a number of years. I don't, what, 6, 8?
7?
Yeah,
sure.
one of those numbers. And Dorothy was also an alternate and a full member of the board for a total of 7 years. And I want to thank her for her service to the Genoa Township. She's a valuable member of the community, and she will be missed. Okay, roll call. Mr. Phillips.
Here.
Miss Yu.
Here.
Mr. Boone.
Here.
Mr. Christian in the back. Mr. DeRose.
Here.
And Paul Hansen is absent. Okay. I'm going to read this into the record so that everybody is clear. As is the adopted policy of the Board of Zoning Appeals, all applicants will be granted an opportunity to make their formal presentation. The audience will then be granted an opportunity to comment, followed by questions from the board. This policy was adopted by the Board of Zoning Appeals to provide for orderly discussion of business scheduled for consideration. The chairperson, me, may limit repetitive debate, although we rarely, if ever, have done that. The first item is consideration of the minutes for the hearings held on February 28th, 2023. I'll give you a moment to look through those, and then I will entertain a motion to approve. Anybody want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll move to approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
Second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Yu.
Sure.
Okay. Any items of note, Dave, anything?
I'm abstaining on this one.
Okay. Oh, that's right, you were absent, weren't you?
I wasn't here.
Okay. All right. All in favor of approval of the minutes from February 28th, 2023, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
Abstain.
abstentions? Dave Boone? Okay. All right. Okay. At this time, we will open the first public hearing, and it is 7:06 p.m. And this is a variance request. And I will read the legal notice into the record, and then I'll swear everybody in. Jeffrey R. and Marie Barnett requesting approval of a variance to eliminate the requirement for an attached two-car garage on Lot 787 in the Lake Forest Estates subdivision at 7720 Maxtown Road, Westerville, Ohio, 43082, which is currently zoned suburban residential, SR. This is BZA case 2023-04. All those that are testifying in this case, please stand, raise your right hand. Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you. You can be seated. Okay, the legal notice for this hearing was printed and published on April 12, 2023 in the Delaware Gazette and posted at the Genoa Township Hall on April 4, 2023. An attempt to mail notice of this hearing to property owners contiguous to and across the street from the subject property was also made. We have 4 items that we're going to accept as exhibits: the legal notice, the sign-in sheet, the application, and the staff report. Susan, on behalf of the township, if you want to go ahead and start us off.
Thank you, Mark. So, as stated in the legal notice, the property known as 7720 Maxtown Road is located in a suburban residential zoning district. We have permit on file for the construction of the house in 1961 that's located on the property, and there were no additional zoning permits found. According to the Delaware County Auditor site, the applicant purchased the property in October of 1996. On December 14th, 2021, the Board of Zoning Appeals heard this same request from the property owners, and that request was approved. And the property owners failed to obtain a zoning permit to build the accessory building that they're were going to build in lieu of the attached garage that they were going to turn into living space. The zoning resolution gives a period of 1 year for work on that to commence. And per Article 3, per Article 3, Section 307.11, failure to obtain a zoning permit within 1 year of the said approval deems the variance lapsed, expired, and null and void ab initio. Even though the BZA had granted the zoning inspector the authority to extend the variance under Section 307.11C, the property owners failed to make the request under the deadline established in Section 307.11.A.
Is there a maximum time after it expires, or do they have to request it before? How does that work, Susan?
That's my next statement.
Ah.
So Section 307.11A states that extensions of time may be requested by the applicant in writing, and those requests need to be made to the zoning inspector at least 30 days prior to the 1 year expiration. So I did have a discussion with Joe Schaefer, who's the zoning inspector, and he did state that if they would have asked for the extension, it's most likely that he would have granted the extension. Mm-hmm. We're just back here because they failed to ask for the extension. And just a couple comments on the application itself. So just to be clear, the zoning code for the suburban residential requires an attached 2-car garage. So they're asking to take their existing 2-car garage and make it into living space and then build a new detached garage. So where they're proposing to build the detached garage, appears to be in a compliant location, so they could build that without any variance. So that's not the request tonight. The request is to not have an attached two-car garage and convert that to living space.
Oh, so they're, I'm sorry, so they don't intend to build the detached garage?
No, I think they do intend to build the detached garage in lieu of having an attached garage.
Okay.
And I also wanted to add that staff would recommend that construction of the two-car garage, which they are proposing and showing on their site plan, be a condition of approval for part of the variance, so that they're not totally eliminating the garage space for the house, and not having a place to put all the typical garage stuff that you would normally have for upkeep of your house and all.
Okay.
I just note that police, fire, and maintenance all received copies of the application. No one had any comments or concerns. We did mail copies to the adjacent neighbors. And we also put a notification sign in the front yard of the property. At the time the staff memo was sent out, we had not had any comments on the application, but we did receive one yesterday.
Which you forwarded.
Which
Thank
we
you.
forwarded on to the board, and so you have a copy of that comment. That's all I have.
Okay. Anybody have questions for Susan?
I do have a question. Is this identical to what it was in 2021 in December?
It is, I think they've given you a little more detail this time. I think the,
Okay, well, we'll get to
Mr.
that.
Barnett
We'll get to
can
the second.
speak to that.
But the plan is to do the same as what was done, okay.
Teresa, Mark?
Was the detached garage a condition back in December of 2021?
It was not,
It was not.
but I believe
I thought that was part of the plan, however.
they did show that, and it was discussed a lot in that hearing, but it wasn't put in the motion, and it wasn't put as a condition. So I think it should be
Wow, I thought,
in there.
my recollection was that it was part of the plan that, in fact, my recollection was that they were requesting to build a garage and then in turn convert the existing garage into a family room type space.
That is correct.
Bob, anything?
Just, as I understand the variance, and what I'm understanding from what you're saying from the staff is that the variance is fine so long as there's a garage that's built, because they got where it would be the garage would be the living space, and they're conditioning it so that there is a garage that's ultimately built, even though it's attached.
That would be our suggestion.
Okay. All right, let's hear from the applicant, sir. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself and then tell
Yes,
us
good
why you're here.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Barnett, and my wife is Marie, and we're here to reapply for the variance because of the because you had to have a garage, and we wanted to be detached. And with the design that we came up with, we like that a lot better to flow into the backyard and everything like that. We had a problem with getting our architect and when COVID came around and all that stuff. So we were busy getting everything together. So now we have drawings, we got plans, we got site plans, we got health department, we got all that stuff in order, ready to submit our stuff to the board for approval to start the building.
So you're essentially ready to begin construction pending our approval? Is
Yes,
that
sir.
what I
Yes, sir.
understand?
Yes. But last time we were here, we didn't have all that stuff in order because we were just starting the process and didn't know. And then her architect.
Process became a little bigger than you thought.
Yes, yes. And so we got everything in order this time before we came back, and then we found out that the time had ran out, and so we had to reapply again. Or we would have asked for an extension on it. And so, like I said, we're all in order and ready to go.
Contractors lined up, ready, okay, just to be clear, you are building a garage?
Yes,
Attached
or
garage.
accessory building or garage, however you guys want to call it. but,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna call it a garage. 'cause
Okay,
I'm
I
not as
like that.
Educated as staff.
Yes,
I know a
Zoning
garage,
resolution calls it.
yeah, you put cars in a garage.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, you are building a garage, and then you're in addition to construction of the garage, you're also gonna convert the existing garage into living space?
Yes,
Okay,
that is the plan, yes.
okay, all right. Okay, like I said, I just want to clarify, because yeah, maybe we didn't clarify that enough a year or so ago. Okay, anybody? Bob? Dave? Anybody? Teresa? I mean, I think 4 of us have heard this application
Right.
before.
And yeah, nothing has
So
changed,
nothing
so-
has really changed, except I think that whomever makes the motion is, we need to make absolutely certain that the garage and the conversion of the garage into a living area is included in that motion. At least that's what I would anticipate. Okay, no questions for the applicant? Is there, oh, go ahead.
And we did have a site plan, and like Susan was saying, everything fits within the boundaries, so we don't need a variance for that outside of our actual boundaries from our easement and all that stuff.
And correct me if my recollection is bad, it seemed as though there was an easement issue on would be the east side, or is that not correct?
No, it wasn't, because we got 12 feet, and we're gonna go 15 feet from the east side, and we're gonna go 52 from the frontage.
Okay.
So
'Cause
everything,
I seem to
everything
remember
falls.
that there was that you were building the garage
No,
into the easement.
no,
But that's
no,
not,
but
okay.
like I said, we had it's on the site, well, there it is, but it's gonna be, it falls within,
Yeah, as I
Go,
understand,
Bob.
yeah, as I understand it, in the back of the house, you have utilities and.
Everything's in the
and
back of the
leach
house.
bed, so
Yes.
nothing could be done in back.
right,
So
it's
you're
not,
Forced to
right.
do it up front?
yes. Well, that's what we wanted, we wasn't forced to do it there, we wanted there.
Works out that way.
Yes, and the health department, we've already had them come by and do their inspection of the property and where we're gonna build it. And then sewers and drains, they came by and did their inspection, and everything's good to go. We have a letter for that also.
Gonna remain on septic, or are you gonna be on sewer?
We're gonna remain on septic,
You meant
yes.
soil and water.
Soil and water, I don't know. But whoever we had to have come by, we had them come by and sign off
They'll
on,
tell you that they're not the sewer guys.
yeah.
Okay. Anybody, anything? Okay,
I have a
Would-
question.
go, Mark.
For clarity. Looking at the drawing that we have here, is the garage over the building setback line or not? I guess, I did hear. what you said.
I don't know if that's the correct one. We're supposed to be 12 and I'm moving to 15, so I don't know if that shows 12
So
there.
so you actually moved the garage in?
Yes.
So,
Ah,
It's-
I can't- So that drawing does show a 75-foot building line, but that
Oh,
is
that's-
incorrect.
Right.
The building setback in a suburban residential district is 50. Yes.
I think, Mark, was your question more about, right where the little arrow is, or right where the hand is, right? Or-
Where the dotted
That
line
is
is.
here, yeah. It's built over towards the front of the house, but
But then they do show that 50-foot.
Yeah, whoever drew up his plan put a 75-foot building line, but that's not correct.
Because I remember that being quite the topic of discussion at the time. I don't know, I've only seen a few since then.
It's, but 50 foot from the right-of-way line is the current setback.
So, so it's legal conforming as far as the
If he
setbacks are
came in
concerned.
to pull a zoning permit,
Right,
we would issue the zoning permit. He wouldn't have to have any kind of variance or anything to build that garage. The only reason they're here is the conversion of the existing garage to living space.
okay.
It's
gotcha.
not that building.
Right. So, yeah, the building itself is legal conforming. We're here for the conversion because without the garage, it's not conforming.
Then they would be in violation if they just converted the garage to
Right.
living space.
Okay, gotcha.
Thanks.
Okay. Any members of the public wish to speak on this application? Okay, and I'm gonna note, because I have not seen any, I will note that we did have one written, which Susan referenced, a person that lives on Regency Drive was not in favor of approval of the application, but I also noted, A, they aren't contiguous to the property living on Maxtown, and B, they didn't really give a reason. So,
Well, it did say that it sets a precedent, they used the word precedent.
Right.
It sets up a township.
Oh, right.
Similar requests, but we deal with these on a case-by-case basis. So
Exactly.
it doesn't really set a
I,
precedent.
right, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because after I read that, I've had that concern over the years that we're setting a precedent, but these cases stand alone by themselves. If every house on Maxtown Road or Regency Drive came to us for the same application, they would all be evaluated based on their merit, and the uniqueness of that particular property. So there's not one broad brush decision that says, oh, well, if you did it here, you're gonna do it there. So, yeah, I think that's important to
And
know.
Mark, I guess for purposes of the record, I think we should acknowledge that we appreciate hearing from neighbors and
Oh,
constituents.
absolutely.
So we appreciate this gentleman sending us the
Sure.
email,
Mhm.
and we're not completely discounting it, we're just,
No,
we believe it's not necessarily setting. a
it just,
precedent.
right, and it depends on the proximity, for me anyway, I don't know about the rest of the board, for me, it depends on the proximity, how other properties would be affected, as far as how much consideration you want to give that comment. So, that's the way I look at it. I've always been as long as I've been on the board, I've always been concerned about how a particular item for a variance would affect the neighborhood in total. So, which is one of the one of the Duncan versus Middlefield considerations. So, with that, no members of the public wishing to speak, there's no other comments or questions from the board, then I guess we go into discussion, or if somebody probably discussion and then a motion. I don't know, if you want, you want to just go through, go through Dunder, jeez, I've been watching The Office too much. Duncan versus Middlefield.
Yeah, I'll
and-
do Duncan versus Mansfield, is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was,
Looking forward to doing it.
no.
Don't fight over it, guys.
All right, we're gonna review, the principles in Duncan versus Middlefield as it pertains to the area variance requested from section 808 to allow for a principal building to not have an attached two-car garage in suburban residential zoning district, and modified to also include, the construction of a detached garage. Okay. All right, the first point then is the property in question, I believe, would yield a reasonable return, and there can be beneficial use of the property without the variance. That said, I don't think the neighborhood is substantially altered by us granting the variance. In my mind, the variance is substantial in that we are abandoning one two-car attached garage so that they can make living space out of that currently existing garage and to construct a separate detached garage. So I believe the variance is substantial.
100%.
Okay. The essential character of the neighborhood would not be substantially altered, and the adjoining properties would not suffer a substantial substantial detriment as a result of the variance. And Mark, I think you discussed that the neighboring properties would not be altered, nor would they have a detriment.
Right, and just to add onto that quickly, he is on the corner, he's on Maxtown, which is a kind of a local traffic artery, and the houses there are a little bit varied, but his conforms and this.
Yeah, I was gonna say the accessory building conforms, so.
Sure.
Even if he weren't doing anything with his current garage, it's
That is
completely fine.
correct.
The variance would not adversely affect the delivery of government services. Staff has sent out the required notices to the various governmental agencies and received no adverse comments. The property owner did purchase the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. Mr. Bennett, we went through this with you the last time, that we believe people are charged with that knowledge, even though they may not actually have actual knowledge of it.
Yeah, we've got knowledge of it quickly.
The property owner's predicament cannot be feasibly obviated through a method other than a variance. You want to convert the current existing attached garage to living space, so that can't be addressed unless we grant the variance today and have a detached garage. The spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice would be done by granting the variance. Again, going to the justice component of the variance, obviously it's what the homeowner has requested, and we have no substantial adverse reason not to grant the variance.
And I would just note that the only contrary email that we received didn't go to the merits of this case, it just to the notion of variance in general, which I don't think applies to this particular set of facts.
Good point.
Mhm.
Good point.
Very good point.
With that, go ahead and make a motion. You ready for that?
Fire it up.
I move to incorporate exhibits A through D, as well as the board's findings pertaining to the review of section 307.06 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution into evidence and to approve the requested variance from section 808 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution for BZA case 2023-04, as amended to include the requirement that a separate detached garage be built pursuant to the plan presented by the property owner. The application was received March 6th of 2023 to allow for a principal structure without an attached two-car garage on property known as Lot 787 in Lake Forest Estates, property address 7720 Maxtown Road, Westerville, Ohio 43082, zoned suburban residential, SR. The motion is based upon the following findings of fact pursuant to section 307.04 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution, that such variance or modification will not be contrary to the public interest because the new structure is in compliance. It has already been reviewed by this board a little over a year ago and approved, and it does grant to the property owner this, it will allow him to build his intended structures. Two, that owing to special conditions and little enforcement of this zoning resolution will result in an unnecessary hardship because, once again, the homeowner would be unable to convert the current attached garage to living space and also would be denied the construction of a detached. Number three, that the approval of such variance or modification thereof is consistent with the spirit of the zoning resolution and substantial justice shall be done thereby because, once again, the homeowner can move forward with remodeling the one structure and the construction of another structure pursuant to his plans. Approval of the subject variance is subject to the owner's agreement to the following conditions, which we will start with. Well, I guess number 5 will go to the construction, but number 1, all required permits, zoning or otherwise, be obtained. Number 2, pursuant to section 307.11 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution, the approved variance shall lapse, expire, and be null and void ab initio if required zoning permits are not obtained within 1 year of this motion of approval. Mr. Ben, you're well aware of that.
Yes.
This isn't new information for you.
No, it isn't.
Extensions to this variance may be requested pursuant to sections 307.11, point A and B of the Genoa Township zoning resolution as may be amended. You're aware of that condition?
Yes, sir.
Number 4, the Board of Zoning Appeals does grant to the Genoa Township Inspector authority to extend this variance at their discretion, subject to the deadlines established within section 307.11A of the Genoa Township zoning resolution, as may be amended. And then number 5, the homeowner shall construct a detached garage pursuant to the plans presented to the board with this application.
Okay. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second.
The easy lifting. Okay, the only thing I want to say is that this is the first case that I can recall in the time I've been on the board, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, that we've ever had where we've had to redo a variance request. I can't remember that. So you are special, Mr. Barry.
Thank you.
No.
We won't be back again. No.
So, no, I'm totally good. Anybody else have any other comments? Okey doke. I will call the roll if everybody's ready. Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. DeRose?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Ms. Yu?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Good luck.
Thank you.
And the hearing is concluded at 7:33. Good luck.
Thanks.
Hopefully, remember 11 months from now.
Give Susan 2 days before I show up at her door.
It's not about the loading. I wanted to say, one, I love the
Oh, if you just go to the podium and so the
We're
mic.
outside hearing.
for me, so I didn't think I needed the microphone.
with you.
One, thank you. 2, it was a costly mistake on our part, not knowing that we needed to get the extension. But I wanted to say, I love the Genoa sign at Mount Royal and Route 3
Oh,
that we
the
just put out.
entrance? Yeah.
Very, very nice, very
Yeah.
classy. And then 2, the pickleball courts.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very popular, so
I
I don't
live
know
right
if this
around the
board had
corner
anything to
from
do with that, but if we did, great job.
We did
because
not. That's actually Parks, but I saw the Parks chairman, who I know fairly well, a couple weeks ago, and I complimented her on that.
Yes.
Because it is, I drive by it, well, because I live right off of Spring Run right there, and I drive by them.
And they're
they're
heavily
full.
used, I mean, when it's
Yes.
warm out, a lot of people use them.
When the weather's decent, man, there's 100 people out there.
It's
great.
really nice, so.
It is.
But
It
thank
is.
you.
Sure, thanks. Good luck, guys. Okay. We will open the public hearing for our second case at 7:34. And I'll read the legal notice into the record. Christopher Nixon and Ramona Sarsama, I'm sure I mispronounced that, Nixon requesting approval of a variance to allow an in-ground swimming pool to be closer than the required 10 feet to the rear property line on lot 3693 in the Highland Lakes East subdivision at 5719 Torrey Pines Avenue, Westerville, Ohio 43082, currently zoned planned residential PRD, and this is BZA case 2023-05. Those that are wishing to testify or speak on this matter, please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn in. Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Be seated. Okay. The legal notice for this hearing was printed and published on April 12, 2023 in the Delaware Gazette and posted in the Genoa Township Hall on April 4, 2023. An attempt to mail notice of this hearing to property owners contiguous to and across the street from the subject property was also made. We are accepting into evidence Exhibits A through D, which is the legal notice, the sign-in sheet, the application, and the staff report dated April 18th, 2023. And we will begin with staff.
Thank you, Mark. So this
Thanks, Mark.
property is known as 5719 Torrey Pines Avenue. It is located in Highland Lakes East, and it is a planned residential district. The plat for Highland Lakes East, Section 10, was recorded in August 7th, 1997. On May 13th, 1998, a zoning permit was issued for construction of the current residence on the property. And then that, another zoning permit was issued in October of 1998 that revised the footprint of the house. According to the Delaware County Auditor's site, the applicants purchased the property in May of 2021. Staff had several phone conversations with the property owner regarding the regulations for an in-ground swimming pool, and staff also provided some information regarding the variance application process. So the zoning resolution, section 1709.01B, allows for a swimming pool to be within 10 feet of a rear or side lot line. And that does not include like the decking around the pool. That's just the swimming pool itself. So the applicants are requesting to allow the edge of that pool to be closer than the 10-foot required setback. A couple things that the applicant can clarify for us. In their application, they stated that the neighbors to the north would never notice the pool. They wouldn't notice any difference in their backyard. Staff would make the assumption that they were referring to Sorrento at Highland Lakes because Sorrento's open space backs up to their backyard. And I think that would be a correct statement that those homes in Sorrento probably cannot see their backyard. And then if they were referring to the house to the north, they most likely could see the pool in the backyard if they were standing out in the very rear of their property. And then they also made a statement that the pool cannot be moved to the left because it would be too close to the adjacent neighbor. And I think that neighbor to the left would be the property to the south, and that's the 5722 Torrey Pines. So staff notes that the applicant needs to clarify the amount of encroachment into the 10-foot requirement that they're requesting. In a couple of places, it says that 3 feet would be ideal, so I wasn't quite sure if they were asking for 3 feet and they would be 7 feet from the property line, or so just so that applicant makes that clear so that any motion made by the board can be clear and concise. And then my other concern was they referenced some retaining walls, and the code has a requirement that for every foot that a retaining wall rise of a retaining wall, it has to be set back at least 2 feet from the property line. So I wanted that to be clarified so that they weren't in another situation where they were putting in retaining walls that weren't compliant with the code and would be back again for another variance. So just so that the applicants were aware of that requirement, and that could be part of the discussion this evening. We did send application to police, fire, maintenance. No one had any concerns with the application. The adjacent neighbors were notified. They were sent a copy of the legal notice. A sign was placed in the property, the subject property, and we did not get any comments from anyone that I'm aware of on this application.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Susan? Okay. I don't think I do. Let's hear from the applicant, the Nixons.
Hi, I'm Ramona Sarsama Nixon.
I'm Christopher.
So
Nixon.
we were trying to build a pool and we didn't realize exactly where, I guess we knew, but didn't really know where our property lines were. So we thought we had more of our backyard than we did. And so when we called the initial pool people to come and like lay out the land, it was very, very close to our house when they set it up. And so right now, as you look at it, you kind of walk out the patio and then you step into the pool. And so the retaining wall I was talking about, so if we moved it, if you're looking at it this way, if we moved it to the right, we'd have to build a retaining wall, which we probably couldn't from the back, from the posterior, because it would be too high. And then right at the right side of the house, there's a porch with an entrance to the house. So if we built it more to the right, so we're not walking right into the pool, we'd have to have a huge wall and we'd walk into the wall. But I don't think zoning wise, it would qualify for the wall if we move the pool to the right. If we moved it too far to the left, it would be too close to the other neighbor's house. And then also I don't know if we're allowed to build it past our structure of our house. So we're trying to get a variation or variance to where we could go more posterior to the house, actually like right on the lot line if possible, or what the picture showed. So I didn't know if I could do like an exact number, if there's like wiggle room or what would be. So if we did the fence like right in front of the property line and then did 2.5 feet, it's a little bit of an angle. So if we did 2.5 from the smallest, so the right corner as you're looking to it, of paver, and then to the left where the pool edge would be about 3 feet paver to the fence or to the lot line.
Okay. And
So
you're gonna-
can I
oh,
ask
go ahead.
her a question?
Yeah, please.
So my thing, what are the circular,
I was just going there.
at the end of the pool, like what are these
So that's like
things?
landscaping,
Those are
so
retaining
it's kind
walls,
of,
or-
so it's kind of edged, but it's not really, so there are like a few layers, I think it's like a foot-ish each, so it's like a layer of rocks and mulch and flowers and then.
Oh, so those
gardening.
aren't
They
retaining
double
walls.
as the backup retaining walls.
Does it, okay, so that you've got,
So
let's
it's
see,
sloped
what?
down, but it's
2, 3,
not,
It steps down then?
yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Earthen grade, like earthen barriers for
Yeah.
grades.
Yes.
okay.
So we
And-
kind of have it, I don't know if you can see it. We kind of have it, kind of like that, but not as steep, like more. So that's like, I think there's like 6 steps and like a wall. So it'd be just like 2 or 3
So are
layers.
those existing now?
So in the grass area, like in the mulch area, it is, but it's steeper. What is there
But
now?
What
is
you're
steeper.
showing on this plan,
Mhm.
is what you're showing on the plan existing now? These,
Not that far
these
out.
things,
So closer
okay.
to the house it is.
okay. And are they retaining walls? Like, are they up out of the ground?
So they're gonna retain, are they gonna retain?
So
the-
if we
the
have to,
dirt to hold back the pool because of the slope?
yes.
So there would be a retaining wall in between those, and then those will be extra large rock to go with the landscape.
That's the cover, the automatic cover.
The retaining wall will be under that cover, though. Towards,
So it's like it's a fiberglass pool, so it's a solid
So you're gonna
structure.
build the pool up to the retaining wall, is that correct?
Yeah, well, yeah, into
Okay,
landscaping.
so retaining wall, pool's gonna be right next to it.
Yeah.
So it can be essentially a level surface?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me ask you this, based on the slope there,
Mhm.
that I'm looking at, you have to have a retaining wall there to hold back the pool.
So it depends on how far we put it. So if we try, if, we're trying not to walk out into the pool. So if we can have a few more feet posterior, then we can scoot the pool a little more to the left. And then it's less of a hill.
Slope.
Yes. If we keep it really close to the house, so if we keep it right where we're like stepping into the pool, I'd prefer to go more to the right, so we're not stepping in the pool. So then we would have to do a bigger retaining wall. So we'd have to do a retaining wall if we go to the right. But if we could move it to the left,
So the farther right you go, you have to have the retaining wall.
yes.
Okay.
Or more of a retaining wall.
Or, so at what point do you not need a retaining wall, or do you need it regardless of where you put it?
You would need a little, like less than 2 to 3 feet of extra dirt space.
Because I'm
To
not
the
an
right.
engineer, so I'm asking.
Yeah.
Um,
So in the one
I'll leave that
picture,
to
like
you.
you can see kind of the backyard slopes down.
Yeah, I know a lot of them do in there. They're all,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like the flattest is right in front of the door and then to the left. But to the right, it kind of slopes down. And so I don't know if you can tell there.
And that blue tape would show you,
So that's where the pool, so the first, so by the stairs to the right, that first blue line is where the pool would be. And then if we push it back 7 feet, it's where the left, that's where the pool would start.
So where the blue line is would be legal conforming right there.
Sorry, say that again?
I say you would be within, it would be legal conforming if you put it within the blue tape.
Yes, so if, we wouldn't need a variance if we did it right where the hand is.
Right, okay.
But is that next line coming left on the screen, that's where you're.
proposing to push the pool, the start of the
How far
pool.
back on this photo does the pool go towards those trees?
So that's looking, so at that angle, you're looking at the side of the house. At the one to the, okay,
I'm
so,
looking at it like
Yes,
this?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
that's what I'm saying, so those, if you go back up, those trees, if you go back to, those trees right there behind the shed, and it looks like a little bit of a stand,
yeah.
that's where the retaining, that's here on your picture?
Yeah, that's way farther back though.
Okay.
Like those trees are probably,
It doesn't go quite to the edge of the grass line
I see.
that way, towards that little tree house there. It's well before that.
See, the pictures on the last page really show how it dips off on the one side, like here. That really dips down.
Okay, I'm sorry. I read it and I can't read it. What size pool are you installing?
So it is 40 feet long
Okay,
and 16 feet wide.
okay.
So from the edge of the pool to the property line, how much of a fall do you have height-wise?
It's
Say that
essentially
again?
5 feet,
I was gonna guess 5 or 6 feet.
5 to 6 feet is
Yeah.
about,
Because it's difficult to see, it's
So there's-
difficult to see where the where the edge, outside edge is from here, to see actually how far it's falling.
so right there is like the edge of the house. No, I'm standing.
that's the edge of the sunroom right
Okay.
there.
Six feet?
Yeah, it's,
4 to 6 feet?
yeah.
So at its furthest point, you're gonna potentially have 4 foot of the pool exposed above the grade, without doing any grading work. You're gonna have 4 foot exposed above the grade line?
Yes, and that's where the retaining wall will come, and that's where that landscaping with those large rocks help reinforce that
So it's
retaining wall as
essentially
well.
What I would call a lap pool then. is
That's what we're
essentially
trying to
it is.
do. We have 3 swimmers. Children swimmers.
I've owned pools, not here, but in my previous, my previous state.
So did the pool company that's putting this in these representations are part of the, when I say these representation, means what we've been thinking were retaining walls. Is that part of the construction? Are they gonna, is that part of the construction of the far wall of this, of the pool? Meaning that they will be built when the pool is built?
Yeah. So they basically, I think they do everything around it, and then they plop the pool in, and then do the coping and pavers, that's my
Right.
understanding.
Dig the hole, put it in, put the decking around.
Yeah, so I think
Um,
most of it's done before the pool gets in.
Yeah.
How far is the fence on that retaining wall side from the property line?
Looks like it's right on it. The way it's written, drawn, it looks like it. would
Yeah,
be
but the
right on
house,
it. Pardon?
well, the house would be right on the property line then. See that? That's the edge of the house.
I don't know, well, see,
Yeah,
this
The
is,
property line angles away.
this is one of
from
the
house.
concerns that I have about your application, just to put it out there. Is that we're,
Oh,
there's,
yeah,
there's a
it's-
few variables out there that I'd like to nail down, because typically our board, we want, you know, we're gonna put it here, it's gonna be this far from the property line, it's gonna be this is exactly what we're doing. And we generally, and I'm just making general comments, we generally don't tell you where to put your pool. We generally want you to tell us where you're gonna put it, and then we say, yeah, it's fine, or nope, can't help you. And I'm not saying either one of those, I'm just saying generally we have an accurate plan, and I don't know, as far as the fence, and Dave brings up a good question, where in relation to the property line is this fence gonna be, and is it actually gonna be, legal conforming? That's the other question that I have looking at the,
Well, the property line to the
Good.
north angles away from the house.
Yeah, the property line is pretty, it's at least 30 feet away from the corner of the front of the house.
And some of the issue with this is we can't nail, it's like, where do we start? So we can't nail
Right,
down
it's a
the
chicken
exact
and an egg
location until we get a
problem.
variance. So if we get a variance saying that we could go closer than 10 feet, then we could say, okay, we can put it here, and we still have to apply, like, for all the different zonings and things. So once we figure out exactly how far, then we can work
So-
backwards and figure out, because it's a lot cheaper the more left we can push the
If-
pool and not much
right.
like
If
rocks
we
and
s-
mulch.
Yeah, because then you don't have to do that much grading.
Yeah.
If we say, okay, well, you can go up to 3 feet, or up to 7 feet into the easement, that's gonna, then you can work with that. Okay.
The question I have,
Go ahead.
is
So
there's a fence
Go.
coming off, oh, sorry, Susan.
That's okay. I was just gonna say, they don't have an easement, it's a required setback.
I'm sorry, that's in here, that's what I heard.
I'm not a pool expert by all means, but doesn't the fence have to be so high above the level of the swimming pool? That way is.
It's just
you'll
whatever your
have to-
guys' restrictions are. So with our
But
cover.
you'll have to build up that side of the pool and level it out to bring the fence up.
At the end so that,
Because you can't have the pool here and the fence down here.
correct, the fence would go around where the,
The bottom of the fence would be, have to be up here where the pool is, I
Mhm.
believe. So you're
Correct.
gonna have to fill all that
So it
in
would have to
anyways,
be-
so I don't think you're gonna have a retaining wall anyways.
Well,
Because
or
you're gonna have
either
to,
that or it'd
you're
have to be
gonna
on the
fill it
retaining
all,
wall.
you're gonna have to fill, it's gonna have to be on top of the retaining wall.
Right.
Yeah.
correct, there's definitely gonna be a retaining wall.
But is it gonna be under the fence? I don't think the fence can be. I think the fence has to be above, the fence has to restrict.
I mean,
people from
this
getting
isn't their
in.
first rodeo, so I'm sure they can figure out. I mean, they do a lot of things with pools. So and they know, they're the ones that told us that we have to have a fence, even though we're getting an automatic cover. So I'm sure they can logistically
Well,
figure
here's one
out.
of the concerns with the fences, just to put it out there.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but we get occasionally, people that build fences and then come here requesting a variance because it wasn't built correctly. And the fence builder didn't care and threw the fence up, got paid, and went down the road. And it does require a permit. It does require to be certain feet from the lot line or whatever, depending on what you're doing. And so it is a bit of a concern. There again, you know, it's,
And the company's doing the fence too, so like they're doing it all, so it's not like we're hash-pashing it all together, like they're just
Right.
doing it.
no, I
and-
understand, but understand our side of it. is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
We have certain, you know, you see certain things over the years doing this, so. Dave? Bob?
Well, I guess, look at this here.
I guess I'm the slowest of this whole board to pick up on these things, so I've got to ask.
I wouldn't say that.
First of all, the red that you just handed out to us when we started, that shows the pool up in this area, not here, right? Is this an existing pool?
Would be based on what the code is.
Okay, so that's not what you're requesting. You're requesting the red to come up into here, right?
Yes.
The pool up in that area. I guess my question is, and I still can't, I kind of understand this a little bit, but does the grade up in here drop off like that?
No, it's straight for about 200 feet.
Okay,
Straight
that's
back.
all. Oh, got a headache.
So if you go back to the previous picture. Keep going. Not that one. Keep going. So that's me standing at the edge of the lot line, so it's pretty flat all the way.
Comes out this way, right? Yes. And that would be, you won't need a retaining wall, although it does look like it drops off to me 3 or 4 feet.
No, it's pretty
So-
flat, it's just the angle of where I'm
Just
standing.
note too that the bench and stuff that you're seeing is not on their property. That bench is on the neighboring property as Sorrento's open space,
Yeah,
correct?
the application said only about half of the grassy area is in their property line.
So just don't use that bench as reference for their property line because that's not their
Or
property.
the property line's up in here someplace.
Yeah.
So those posts are actually, those yellow posts in the
Oh,
one
that's great.
picture?
Yeah, that's great.
This is the bench?
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Oh, there you go.
It's that,
That white thing right here.
yeah,
One of the benefits.
just
is
off,
that
just
nobody
off the
can't
property
see.
line.
So essentially, the pool will be,
But this is what drops off.
like, right.
Yeah, I think this is.
Yeah,
about
it slopes
right
away.
there.
Well, hopefully, like,
So the fence on this side's not a problem.
Yeah, you're coming,
Because this is
you're
level.
back here.
Pretty much level.
correct.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's the fence over here that we're
This
concerned
is
about, is that
embarrassing.
right?
No, actually, it's one in the back.
Oh, no, the one in the back is pretty flat, like that's,
She's saying this is.
Yeah. No, oh, and then.
it's a weird property.
Go back.
Having some fun there.
Not that that wasn't fun, there, because, yeah, the drop is here, which is where they're talking about.
Yeah,
terracing.
Okay, and that's what Dave's
Yeah, it's
talking
nearly,
about
Yes.
over
nearly
here.
10 feet.
Yes. And he says,
From-
but they
from
say
the
it's
far
only a
end.
5-foot drop though, too, which
Oh,
is
913, 910,
big,
that's
but
not
not huge, you know what I mean?
But this is the area
That's
that we're
flat all-
talking about, the variance. Do we even care about this? I'm just asking.
No.
We don't care. This
We
is
just
all
care
where
that
we're
back,
gonna go.
the back line, yeah. How close they are,
Right,
we allowed to get to
yes,
that back line.
right, that's what the variance
Wait,
is, is back on the lot
There's
line.
space, it's just not their space, technically, right? I mean,
Well put.
right. Going out,
Okay,
obviously one will go outside of it, if they did, it's.
all right,
it's
let me
not
do this
somewhere
real
else.
quick, and then we're gonna come back here in
Okay.
a second. Anybody, any member of the public wish to make a comment regarding this application?
Somebody-
Ah,
somebody raise
sir,
their hand.
were you sworn in? Come on up and be sworn in and make your comment. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Steve Powell, 5496 Via Alvito Drive in Westerville.
Have at it.
I'm representing the board for Sorrento, because we're the property on the left.
Oh, okay.
So as of their goal of actually putting a pool there for their family, I think is a wonderful goal. And we consulted with our neighbors and our attorneys for the neighborhood. And as long as there is no construction past the property line, we probably wouldn't have a problem with it. The concern I have with what's been presented here is it's an incomplete presentation of the work to be done. It doesn't show any kind of decking or hardscape around the pool. It doesn't show where the fence is going to be constructed. and it doesn't show the actual place where the pool is going to be. So for us to be accepting this, we would just have to see where everything lands and make sure it doesn't cross the property line. It was referred to as common area, or it is our common area. And for our guidelines for our community, regardless of whether I think this is a big deal personally or not, say that that common area is owned by all 44 of the owners in the neighborhood. And for us to agree for something to be built on it, it would take approval of all 44 people. So that's very hard to attain. As you can imagine, getting 44 people to respond is even challenging.
Absolutely.
So, but as long as it doesn't cross that property line for any of the construction, we're fine with how close they want to be to that property line. It's not a big deal.
Fair
So-
enough. Good, thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else?
And we would stay within, we would, no matter what we build, like even fence or, like.
Yeah, and again,
Yeah,
this is not a big deal for us. It's just, it becomes a voting deal for the entire neighborhood if it crosses that line.
Oh, of course. And it's unlikely that that would ever be approved by this board anyway, so, okay.
Could we? I mean, we know that it's
Yeah,
within our
I
jurisdiction
don't know
to
how
say,
that would
yeah,
happen.
sure.
Okay.
Build on your neighbor's lot.
Have to go on to their property, the equipment and so
Oh, well,
forth.
yeah, that, yeah.
I mean, yeah, so that's not a concern?
That's not a concern.
Okay.
I mean, they've obviously been mowing and maintaining that area.
Yeah.
So it's about 5 house lots away from the first house in our neighborhood. But on a legal matter, if any construction crosses that line, we have to have a vote.
Oh, of course.
Well, they have a problem with selling the house too, if there's an encroachment. So it affects a lot of people, yes. Yep.
Okay, anyone else? No? Okay,
I do have a question.
go ahead, Dave.
I'm looking at this pool, and of course, I'm looking at this pool, that's a common. Is there any thought of turning it at an angle? Because on that side, you have a width about the size of this table.
Turning it this way?
Turning it at an angle so it fits better in the property.
Oh, like on an angle?
Because if you put that right up against a fence, you have no usable space on that. You have maybe a walkway on that one edge
We
against the
don't care
fence.
about that edge, we care about the pool, like the
Well,
water. like-
I understand that, but if you turned it on you have so much more usable space.
I mean,
That's just my
so
thought.
just like
That's
making it
what-
angled instead of making it like horizontal? Like doing like a 15-degree angle? Is that
They'd
what
still
you're
have to
talking
get
about?
a variance for into the setback.
I understand it, yeah, but it's only the corner that you'd have to worry about, because the corner would be the closest to the fence. The rest of it's gonna be.
But it's, I mean, it's still, we would still grant a variance to get in, to encroach into the setback.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're requesting to encroach up
understand
to
what I'm
7
saying.
feet,
I mean, if you
They
turned
could
it,
still
if you
angle
turned
it.
it like this, you'd be in this big open space right here.
It dips, so we can't do that because then we would need like a big wall because that area right there really sinks
Oh, it
down.
dumps even further,
Mhm.
okay.
Sorry, I thought you meant the other way. Yeah, that way, and it would be too, I think it would be too close to the house still. And then we would need 2 retaining walls. Like we would need, yeah.
Okay,
I'm good.
good, okay. I have a comment for the board. I'm a little frustrated by this application, like others, where the builder essentially sends the homeowner in on their own, and we ask technical questions like you're asking. I'm certainly not an engineer. And I'm frustrated by that because, basically, we don't have a specific plan. I tend to agree with the public comment, frankly. We don't really have a specific plan, and I'm frustrated by that, and I think if the builder was here, they could answer our questions and we could make an informed decision on this. But my personal opinion is that I don't have enough information to make a good decision.
But I feel like once we get a variance, then we can get like a solid, 100% detailed plan in exactly the right position.
That's not the way it works. It works the other way around. You bring us a plan and we approve it or not. That's just the process.
I always struggle with the community and the surroundings with a pool.
Sure.
When there's slopes involved. Because if something would happen, that pool would break, or something, there's a crack, or, you have erosion or something lets loose. And fencing, I always have, issue with fencing. If I can't see the fence, how's that fence being built around?
Well,
to-
see, it goes, you see, you basically are confirming what my thoughts are.
Absolutely.
Is that I don't know that I have enough information to make a good informed decision. I'm not gonna say I'm against the application. I'm not gonna say I'm for the application, but I don't think I personally don't have enough information because I don't know where the fence is gonna go. I don't know how far is it 2.5 feet? Is it 3 feet? Is it 5 feet? I don't know. We're shooting at a moving target and.
That's,
For me, this seems a lot like, I guess that I have no problem in general, but this seems a
Right.
lot like, it seems a lot like an advisory opinion as opposed to making.
And that's really not
decisions
what
as
we
to-
do.
but the variance is only for the setback. It's not for a fence, it's not for a wall, it's not for easement. It's literally just for the variance of the posterior. So we're not asking for any of the other stuff, because we still have to go through the whole application process and get all of that approved. So it's not like we could just go wild and start building stuff. So we're, like, the application is just for the variance of the distance to the posterior, and we're keeping everything inside.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Oh, absolutely.
So, taking to the chair's point, so what has the builder instructed you to do? Is that to come here and find out how much you can move it or what your parameters are, so then they will complete the plans? Is that what the request is?
No, this is my request. I want it to go more posterior so we don't have to walk into the pool.
Walk out of the house and into the pool.
Right.
So we can do it legally this way with no restrictions, basically. Like this, as it goes, would fall under what's allowed. So I'm asking that it gets pushed a little farther back. So,
Staying within the property.
yeah, everything else would be legal with this schematic, but I just don't like how close it is to the house.
I guess I agree with the chairman, though. I'm concerned about a 2.5-foot sidewalk nobody uses. And that's their point. You're gonna have a fence along there too. So you're certainly not gonna use that side of it for walking or whatever. I don't see any other sidewalks on here, which is what I would like to see. Where are you gonna walk around the pool? And then you've got the side with the slopes on it. I really don't have a good feel for that. Are there sidewalks over there? I get the sense that those are steps down, so you're not gonna walk on two sides of this pool. So it doesn't seem right to me. I guess that's my struggle. And somebody mentioned earlier the landscape. I don't know how the landscaping is gonna tie in here. Now, I understand your point, but for us, how much variance do we give? And we give it based upon what the plan looks like, a somewhat completed plan. And what we really have here are great drawings of the pool, but none of that other information is provided to us, at least from my perspective.
And Mark, if I could add it, what I'm taking from what the staff's comments were, depending on where this goes and what ultimately it says, it may implicate the retaining wall restrictions.
Right, a portion of it.
Portion of it, so we
You're
don't,
right.
you know what I'm saying, I don't know if we could do the variances in degrees or steps.
Nope.
No, I mean, that was more rhetorical than,
but-
that was more
Right,
rhetorical
yeah.
comment than, so I think we're just incomplete to make a decision.
Okay, well, what do you guys want to do?
If, just throwing out one of a zillion options, if we table this tonight, could we get the builder in here for the next meeting?
Or at
Would
least some
that help?
specific plan?
Yeah, how close are they to having a final design for you for the pool?
I mean, they could get it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, like, I personally have no issue with the variance and going up to the 7 feet in, which I think is far as they've proposed. But I would be more comfortable with the pool designer, Omni, coming in and saying, placing a pool there, this is what we are gonna do.
And this is why.
Yeah,
See,
so,
that's a big thing because of what we do here. you know, there generally has to be a fairly good reason that, well, we can't put it here, we try to put it there, it won't work there. And like I said, well.
I mean, I'm sure Omni can do a great job, but I would just feel more comfortable if Omni said, oh yeah, we can absolutely put it there and this is what it's gonna look like.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm also raising as a public comment, they're fine with this as long as it doesn't go over the line. So
Of
it's just
course.
a matter of finding out what the builder thinks they can do and if it'll be compliant, or how much of a variance will we need.
The one,
Oh.
the one thing I
Come on up to the
microphone.
podium, please, so we can
The
get
one
you
thing
out
I
of
did want to
the-
say is that although we represent Sorrento as the association, Highland Lakes Association is not here. And they would
I
need their
understand.
architectural review.
That's the other thing. Thank you for reminding me of that. Have you talked to the HOA, Highland Lakes?
We just have to fill an application once we have like the exact location. I don't know the exact location until I could figure out the variance.
Well, okay. Anybody want to make a motion? Anybody want to go through Temple versus
Wait,
Middlefield?
Susan?
Oh, Susan.
I was just gonna say, does your applicant want to come back?
Okay, here's, since we're all saying the same thing, let me just drill it down. I'm gonna make a motion that we continue this application to the next regular meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals, pending bringing us a specific plan of exactly what's gonna be done and some kind of indication from the HOA whether or not they are, that this is acceptable, not necessarily approval, but acceptable. I'm gonna make that motion, somebody can second it or not, you guys can do whatever. I'm just one vote here.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Phillips.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's-
Discussion?
Let's
Oh,
do a complete motion.
oh, you wanna, okay, you
It's on
wanna
page
use the
9.
thing? Okay, here, I can do that. Hold
We
on.
need and you have a calendar in your book there.
I do, and I can tell you when that is. It's May, I wanna say 25th, but I could. 23rd. So,
And then we need a deadline for any new plans or anything to be turned into the
Okay.
zoning department.
I'm going to move to continue the public hearing on this subject application known as BZA case 2023-05 until 7 PM on May 22nd, is it 22nd? 23rd, 2023, in the Genoa Township Hall. Additional revised materials will be due at the Genoa Township Development and Zoning Department by date, Susan? 15th? May,
So
if it's the 23rd, what's their due date?
I mean, just as long as we have enough time to get it out
Right.
to the board and
Um,
review and do a staff report. So
Okay, if we're,
Couple weeks.
so okay, how about Friday the 12th? Friday the 12th of May at 4 PM. Mark, is that you still seconding that motion?
Yes.
Okay. All right, discussion?
I would just say to the chair that it would probably make the process a lot easier if the applicant just decides what they want, get the builder to present that, and we'll have the ability to, the builder puts out everything that will be entailed if
Right,
they did what the homeowner wants done.
So we're
Right.
asking, to bring the builder to the meeting so we can ask questions.
well, I think we're asking him to bring a specific
We'd like
plan.
a specific plan, assuming that, for example, that we grant their original request of up to 7 feet into the setback.
You need a specific plan so that there's
Correct.
only
Right.
one number.
Yeah.
Right, no,
whatever the
right, so
number
if they start planning with this, with this original setback in mind,
I don't care what
Right.
the number is, I just
Okay.
want a number. I mean, that's the way that's the way I intend my motion, let's put it
yes,
that
so
way.
more complete plan, bring the builder if possible.
if possible.
Yeah,
You know, if
obviously,
not,
we-
I understand.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
but
if there-
really, most importantly is submitting a specific plan.
Got it.
And if the builder requires by moving it to where the homeowner wants it, if there are retaining walls that are gonna need to be
Right.
done, we need to know all the things.
Absolutely.
One
Because we're,
shot.
you know, it's not a, well, if you saw the last application, what he submitted, it was a specific plan where the structure was gonna go with the measurements and the setbacks and everything else,
To the
so.
point of where, to your motion, if they are able to bring the paperwork, would that be fine in lieu
Sure.
of the builder? So,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
you might have calendaring issues.
I make that as a general observation because we have it both ways all the time. And things seem to go better when the builder is here.
Agreed.
Not that there's anything wrong with not bringing the builder in, but it just, we can get questions answered a little bit easier. Okay, anything else? Anybody, any other comments? Mark, Dave, Bob? No? Okay.
Call a vote.
Okay, Mr. Boone. Mr. DeRose. Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Ms. Yu.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. And so the motion carries. This is continued until May 22nd. At 8:17. 23rd. You know, I'll get it
Done the
wrong every
23rd.
time now.
You'll be here a day early.
Okay, work with Susan on what we're looking for, please, and then, you know, it's not a big scary process, okay? I try and get it into layman, you know, so you guys understand it, so. Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
You'll get your pool, maybe.
Oh, either way, we're getting a pool.
Yeah,
I mean,
there you
This
go.
passes ordinance, so we'll have this, but we're walking through the pool. What'd you
There
say?
you go.
Where do they swim?
So my one son swims for New Albany and St. Charles, and then my other son swims for Columbus, or COE, and then the lakes in the summertime. So they're busy swimming.
My daughter swam for NAC.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
so that's
where-
where, right, yeah.
where we swim.
Very cool. Thank you guys.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I actually have one thing before we go to the next agenda item.
Okay.
We'll get there. This happens after every meeting. This happens.
It does.
Okay, I do have one item that I wanted to bring up before we go to the officer election thing. I was at the trustee meeting a couple weeks ago, and I spoke to Joe Schaefer about our rules of procedure, because I noticed our rules of procedure were last updated, I'm gonna say 2018? Yeah, we kind of been kicking it down the road a little bit, pending what zoning was doing. And, of course, and you can correct me on that, Dave, because I might be wrong on that date.
I don't know.
No, I might be, but he said to me, basically, apparently although zoning has revised their rules of procedure, apparently they're in the midst of doing it again. So, based on that, he recommended we wait till they finish. He'll send us the revised one and then we can revise from there, which I think makes the most sense. Rather than having, because when we did this before, we had a couple special meetings, which I know Susan enjoys coming out and seeing us in the evening. And and we're coming into the summer months where people are gonna be gone and stuff like that. So I would say that once zoning gets finished with theirs, then we can just basically redo it. We did this, to December of 18.
You're
Okay.
right.
So so the Prevagen did kick in finally tonight. Okay, all right, election of officers. I think, let's see, I gotta read this to you guys. Okay, I'm gonna open nominations for officers. Chair nomination, somebody can move to nominate somebody as chairman of the Board of Appeals for 2023 and 2024.
Move to nominate Mark Herman.
Second.
That guy is never in the room when that happens.
Close the vote.
No discussion.
I drew the short straw again this year, okay. Did you second it, Teresa?
We both did, I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, okay. Oh, not everybody at once. Okay, so I guess I have to do a roll call vote though on this. Mr. Boone,
Yes.
Mr. DeRose,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Ms. Yu,
Yes.
Chair abstains. Oh, and then that wasn't the election, that was just,
Oh, those are nominations.
that was, yeah,
That's right.
that was to close nominations.
Yes.
Because, I do this wrong every year.
I know.
We
We
and
skip
then
steps.
Paul's back there going,
It's all right.
So then we back up and
So
say.
I will move to elect
Nominate.
Mark Harmon as the chair.
perfect.
Okay.
You skipped right ahead, good for you. And I will call the vote. Mr. Boone,
Yes.
Mr. DeRose.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Ms. Yu,
Yes.
and the chair abstains. Okay, vice chair nomination. Somebody's gonna move to nominate somebody as vice chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals for 23-24.
Move to nominate Dave Boone.
That's one way to get rid of it.
I'll second.
Okay, I'm gonna, do you guys wanna, anybody else?
I'm good.
Should I close nominations?
Close, move to close.
Anybody? Teresa, Dave,
Call the
Bob?
vote.
All right. Okay, this is to close nominations. Mr. Boone,
Abstain.
Mr. DeRose,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Ms. Yu,
Yes.
and chair votes yes. Okay, now,
I was gonna nominate Mark Harmon for that.
you know what? I saw him driving out a minute ago, so you can't. Okay. Well, since I'm here, I'll move to elect Dave Boone as vice chair as nominated for the 23-24. And I need a second.
Second.
Okay, so we're gonna call the vote. Mr. Boone,
Yes.
Mr. DeRose,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Ms. Yu?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Okay, officers are elected.
Hold on.
And at this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Mr. Phillips, second? Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned at